Cambodia for the grand finals of ISF.
Man, Psychot's on the Masha though. This is quite interesting. We have to see how oppressive exactly can he get with it. But the jungle clear, as we can see, this Leomord is very deadly. And early on in the previous game, we saw that Cambodia was able to secure a kill just using the early base damage. And now Dreams is just trying to be an absolute nuisance, trying to make sure that Lutu takes a longer time clearing or even stealing it away.
Yeah, but Lutu will still be able to clear it out, has the Demon Slayer as well. You can see that the Leomord Taz is already invading the enemy jungle quite early on, trying to steal away some of the creeps here as Lutu has actually opted to go for the Lethal Wanderer. No mid-control for Indonesia. This might be risky, but Taz gets out in time, getting a level lead on Lutu right now, and proceeds to go over to his own jungle to full clear.
In the early game, it's never big moments for the most part, right? I think it comes down to the smaller exchanges, the small goal differences, and now they're just going aggressively, but ooh, very scary because Dreams was in the wings. And again, it's just a very balanced contest of wave clear and ganking potential, and neither team has had a lead just yet.
Both teams are still playing it a bit passively, right? Both roamers are rotating across the map as well. Not much action on the map in the first minute. Very different from the last game where we saw action instantly, almost right as the game started for both Cambodia and Indonesia. But knowing the stakes right now for Game 3, knowing that one of them are going to lower brackets later on to face either Philippines or Malaysia, they're going to have to play a little bit safer here. Turtle going to be started up. T looking for that opening right now as Lutu is there. That's going to be the Shadow Steed, Phantom Steed. He brings him back. Lutu losing onto the Retribution battle will still be able to survive. That's a Petrify onto Dreams with a Furious Dive as well to pick up first blood. The Turtle for the kill traded in. And this is where I have to ask you, Arashi, who takes that? Who got the better trade?
I think for now, especially since in the mid lane there's a bit more aggression, Cambodia definitely has a bit of an edge. They get the shielding from the Turtle and they go aggressively yet again. Indonesia now needs to be very, very careful. They have tools to protect their carries, but if they let Cambodia gain too much momentum, that is a very dangerous mid-game that they are looking at right now. Especially, as we mentioned, if the Lolita can set up, if T can make those plays happen, that is definitely something that Indonesia wants to avoid in order for them to be able to shut down OP in this bottom side. Brands was taken out, so now it really leans in favor of the Cambodians.
Well, Deja's going to be caught as well, though, in the real-world manipulation. Instantly taken down as well with the damage coming in from Taz on that Phantom Steed. It's 1-2 on the scoreboard. Again, that neutral objective did go to the hands of Indonesia as they're looking to use this Phantom Steed towards that top side. Taz has to be careful. Will be able to steal it for a bit, but just decides to back off. Again, both teams, knowing the stakes, will choose to play it a bit more passively here in the third game.
Indonesia has not been having a lot of time to shut down OP. They're moving right now, but you can see that the pressure game is much, much different. Cambodia is actually matching Indonesia in the wave clear department, and that means that Indonesia cannot outmaneuver, at least not as much, the members of the Cambodian side, at least for now. With some items coming in, maybe the difference in skills will actually make that a possibility.
So far, 4 minutes in, again, not much action on the map. It comes down to, the slow games come down to those little wins, Arashi, like you mentioned, to set up for that mid stage, because every little win is going to be building up constantly for both of these teams. And I think both of the teams have been doing a pretty stellar job. Cambodia with more wave control, though, in that gold lane. We'll have a bit more to say around this Turtle. That's a brilliant Numenon Blast, but the Phantom Steed is there to respawn. That's a Black Dragon form as well. Taz trying to steal it, but finally losing out in the Retribution battle, giving it over towards Cambodia. And Taz as well will lose his life. So Cambodia took a 2-for-0.
The 2-for-0, and they didn't even bring Psychots into the equation. He is on the top side. Boom was the only one maneuvering down, and boom, he has made an impact. The Black Dragon form is just so annoying, so oppressive in those objective takes, and Indonesia, they lose out there, but can the advantage Psychot is getting in the EXP lane later on make a difference? Is this the investment they are making in the early game to maybe play a split push gameplay instead?
Four-man gank around that gold lane. Dreams. That's a circling eagle stolen away from Deja. doing a good job at zoning the Indonesian members here away from that tier 1 for OP to take a good siege and a good rotation from Cambodia to pick that up. You can see, like you mentioned, Indonesia are looking to trade up in that XP lane, but up against the Yuzong, it's really difficult to do. It's a very sustainable hero that has a Petrify. Now that he is 2 kills ahead as well with that Black Dragon form, it really feels like he's unkillable unless Indonesia throws more than, well, unless they bring 4 people up to the XP lane.
Even with 3, as you mentioned, Mirko, it's going to be a bit of a stretch. But of course, Indonesia, if they do go for that, they'll have some preparations in place. But now they're going for that mid lane play instead.
T still soaking in all the damage there. Does a good job to help Deja to disengage. And Indonesia so far, every little rotation that they've been trying to do, every single catch they've been trying to look for, hasn't really worked out in favor for them. It's been Cambodia with the more efficient roams, more efficient rotations across the map.
It seems like Indonesia wants to be as aggressive, but without the Kadita they had in game number 2, without 2 Petrifies, because Psychots is not on that Yuzong. They just are struggling to find the right pickoffs, and they need to rely on these neutral objective fights. But even there, it seems like Cambodia is 1 step ahead. They will take a free turtle yet again. Perhaps Indonesia is waiting for more items, more of a power spike. They are a team with experience, and they have shown to actually be prioritizing that EXP lane yet again. Psychots able to take out that turret, but will that be enough? Will that be worth it?
We'll see here as Cambodia are trying their best to siege down that mid lane. Good rotations from Taz, moving over from his orange buff right to that mid lane to help out the other members on the team. But right now, like you mentioned, that's the wise choice by Indonesia, looking to trade instead of contesting for the neutral objectives, which is definitely going to be favoring Cambodia here in the mid stage of the game. For Indonesia, again, they need to wait for Brands and Hijumet to get those item power spikes, and unfortunately for Indonesia, it does take a bit longer for them to get those power spikes. And you can see, with Windtalker built up by the Irithel, working on that Berserker's Fury next. Meanwhile, for the Beatrix, just that BODs, technically enough. He can go for something like a Haas Claws now, or even a Wind of Nature, and he does a lot of damage already.
I think later on, OP is going to go for more of a burst damage build instead of a DPS build. But as we talk about that, that's an engage by Taz.
Phantom Steed by Taz right now as that's a Circling Eagle onto T. No one targeting the back line right now as OP is still able to kite back. OP taken very low. Brand's looking for the play, but it's going to be OP who hits him back. Lutu caught in the real world manipulation as Dreams falls to the hands of Deja. Cambodia here still. It's a 1-for-1 trade, and it's both of the roamers, so it's still a stalemate for both of these teams in the trades even.
But we talk about the power spikes, and before that, let's talk about that fight initially, because Taz goes for the engage, and you can see that the members of Cambodia spent a lot of time in that real-world manipulation, but they are not clumping up together. So Indonesia failed to get the quote-unquote combo and get massive value from that team fight. Oh, now we have a bit of a technical pause, though.
It was enough of a threat to push Brands back away.
Later on, though, I do feel like Irithel and Beatrix in the ultra late game, I think Irithel has a bit of an advantage, and with the range difference, right? Of course, Deja can match it with the IMU, but for the most part, Hijume will also be able to actually do a lot more poke damage and pressure Cambodia into unfavorable exchanges. The Masha as well later on will be much, much tankier, much more so compared to Boom, and maybe excel in the 1v1 as well. So I think the later the game goes, the more options Indonesia have to actually play around with, provided that they don't let Cambodia just pull away from them as far as gold difference is concerned.
The gold difference is sitting at a 1,000. It's a 1,000 gold lead for Cambodia currently. It's not that big of a difference, but
exactly.
I think it's the XP, right? That's right now dictating the match. OP is 1 level ahead of Brands, therefore dealing a bit more damage than him. And again, it comes down to those power spikes, which OP is able to reach a bit faster than Brands.
Level 11.
Level 11 also has that BOD. I think it was building towards something else there, either the Wind of Nature or the Haas Claws. But now it's, again, just both of the teams dancing around the neutral objectives. Meanwhile, though, Psychots really with a very aggressive movement to cut the wave under the base turret over there. This will definitely give the upper edge towards Indonesia when it comes down to that wave control and pressure. And you can see Cambodia with the movement already. Lutsu forced to go towards that bottom lane, and he is the jungler. This gives Indonesia so much base, and they are going to commit onto it, knowing that Lutsu is down below. Boom jumps in with Black Dragon form. That's the Numeron Blast, not connecting anyone, but it's the Petrify by Boom, connecting onto 3. No more follow-up. Brand's going to be caught there, and that's going to be a lot of damage placed onto with the Circling Eagle as well. Deja stopping him in his tracks as Psychons jumps in with the help of Dreams to find OP. Both of the gold laners, both of the marksmen taken down. Hijime looking for that kite back with his items and with the utility he has. Good slowdown. And again, it's just a 1-for-1, an incredibly close game for both Cambodia and Indonesia.
They trade gold leaders right now, but without that gold lane, we talked about Cambodia's reliance on having OP as the hero of the game right now. That means Indonesia has a lot more of an advantage. They are going for the Lord again, and they're going for a fight where the AoE can actually swing tides in their favor.
Brands is going to reach this Lord pit a bit faster. Real world revelation locking Boom down for the Phantom Steed to deal as much damage as possible. Brands finally rejoining the team. That's another Phantom Steed over by Lutsu, by Deja, who's able to jump in. Lutsu coming in, enabling the rest of the team to deal out that damage. A 1-for-2 now. It's still favoring Indonesia. Lutsu and Boom taken down for Taz. The Lord is not going to be committed on right now. Indonesia decided to just go for that mid lane. T trying his best to defend this, but it won't work out for him in the long run. The Circling Eagle might actually be able to take him down here with the help of the other members, but T will be able to get out. The Indonesian members opted to just go for the turret. And all of that was just for a turret. This game is getting, like you mentioned, intense from the future, man.
It's going to be very much intense, even more so later on, especially for Cambodia. They are starting to lose their grasp on the game, especially with Indonesia's control over the neutral objectives. With that Masha split pushing as well, we've talked about this. Cambodia have a bit more of a combo situation. Indonesia have a lot more options to play around with. They can use the Leomord and the Masha defensively, and they have security. They have the Matilda's Guiding Wind to try and save their main carries as well. Cambodia does not have the same kind of luxury.
No, they don't, right? I think now they need to start prioritizing OP again, because in the last few fights, they have been able to find brands, but without the help of OP, it does feel like they will lack more, well, they will lack that sustainable damage. Boom with the Black Dragon form, Circling Eagle by Dreams, a bit too aggressive there, but the Numeron Blast now is going to be chained in, channeled in. Deja jumping on Hijime, who's still able to kite away, but not for long as he gets taken down by Boom. Brands with the nature, dealing a lot of damage and sustaining back up again, as that's so much on that back line. Taz is hunting, sniffing out, and he gets it onto OP. A brilliant read by Taz to find that double and to get Indonesia a 3-for-2 trade.
It's a very close game, man. Indonesia are winning these skirmishes, but only by about 1 kill each fight. But they keep repeating the same thing again and again. They have no urgency to take this Lord. They keep using it to bait the members of Cambodia into fights that they don't really want, that they can't really take. And it has been working so far, and eventually now they can get a free Lord, completely uncontested. And this is the beginning of the comeback for Indonesia, if they are able to maintain that discipline. Discipline is the name of the game, and on that note, we will take a bit of a break, because there is, if this continues, I do think that it benefits the Indonesian team a lot more.
And I think it comes down to, again, Arashi, that wave control, right? The side lane control in the later stage of the game. Cambodia have been... The division of labor within Cambodia is a bit questionable in my opinion, right? Lutsu has been the one sent down to the gold lane to actually clear that minion wave where, again, he's the jungler. He needs to be there. That was the reason Indonesia were able to commit onto Lord and to force Cambodia in a position where they weren't ready to look for a fight. But here it is once again. Nibiru's passion there by OP, but it's going to be cancelled out. That's still the mid lane tier 2 taken down.
They have a lot more siege potential here with that Eve, and now look at that flank though from T.
Oh, he's going to be spotted out here. It was initially such a good flank, but it's going to be spotted out, and that's the flicker out. The threat of that Numeron Blast flicker is no longer present for Cambodia.
That is completely unfortunate. And as you mentioned, Mirko, sending Lutsu is difficult, but they require Boom to have that kind of backline pressure in those team fights. Indonesia is making Cambodia have the hardest of decisions, and now with that superior siege, with that poke damage, with the counter engage available, they're slowly but surely working up their way, taking control over the jungle, and now Cambodia is in trouble. Can they even send anyone out to try and scout in these bushes? Because T has no flash, no flicker available.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the items here. That's the Berserker's Fury. The DHS already completed as well. It's done for Brands here on the Irithel.
One more item to go.
He's working on either a... I don't know. Does he want to get a Scarlet Phantom here? I feel like, you know,
Has claws?
as late as this. I'm thinking...
I feel like Has claws would be better because how Irithel works out, but maybe he has something else in mind. Hijime, of course, I have my eyes on the Yve with a Divine Glaive, though.
You're
That
biased
is a
towards
lot.
Yve, Rashi.
I mean, it is what it is. He has penetration now, and that is a lot of AoE, especially if Indonesia is using these lords to actually bait Cambodia into a fight. The Psychots.
Oh, Psychots losing a whole lot of HP. Opie with a brilliant Wind of Nature there. Baits out that Thunderclap. Now it's the engage once again by Dream. Circling Eagle over to Opie, but it's a very good knock-up over from Boom. A kill over to Brands as well. Indonesia caught in the midst. Now having to back off. Hijime getting the shield down with real world inflation, but Lutu comes in to follow it up. It's a blunder from Indonesia. 3 members falling, and this might be it for Cambodia. That was the moment they were looking for to turn the tides and to get the goal lead back in their hands.
20 seconds for Brands to be back onto the map. The wave is benefiting Cambodia, but their base isn't exactly safe as well. Right now, they go for the Lord, where they could have potentially went for an end push and catch and force these 2 remaining members into crazy fights. They go for the Lord, though, the more calculative approach, but they might lose a turret because of it. Definitely a big benefit for Cambodia, but maybe it could have been a bit more efficient.
I think they made the right choice. I think if they went for more turrets, it wouldn't be worth it in the end. The turrets can go later on. Obviously, it's going to be there forever, but the Lord can be contested if the Indonesian members respawn. Cambodia decided to make the right choice over there. Again, playing it disciplined and not getting the pressure into their heads, right? Into their minds right now. A very good fight. And we actually asked this question right before the pause. How is Cambodia going to play from behind? That's how they play from behind. They still try their best to go for these coin flip fights, and they still know, even while they're behind, they understand where those little mistakes will happen from Indonesia. And like I mentioned, it is the Scarlet Phantom for Brands. We said either Immortality or Haas Claws could be another good option for him, but he decides to go for more attack speed.
Well, that is why, as well, that is why Cambodia keeps Boom in those team fights. That is the impact he can bring. And now with the Lord here, it will be cleared out by the Indonesians, and it's back to the status quo. It's back to Indonesia, pressuring with that macro game, abusing this Masha as much as possible, but Cambodia has equalized on the gold lead. This game is very, very intense, and I must say, I still think the late game favors Indonesia, but Cambodia is making it seem not so one-sided.
It comes down to Opie, right, in the later stage of the game, and Deja, honestly.
Yes.
Honestly, it feels like it's every single member, because Boom was the key member to getting that fight over to the side of Cambodia. Now, Opie and the rest of the members now looking for that bottom tier 2. Psychos looking for the flanks right now, but he's all alone. Caught in the midst of it all right now. That's the advantage. Rage popped in. Psychos still going onto Opie, who's still able to kite away. Real world inflation onto Deja, but he flickers out. Boom as well here, getting out to safety with a Furious Dive. Both teams disengaging. And it's an amazing team fight. Micro play shining for both Cambodia and Indonesia.
Keep in mind, though, look at the battle spells. Everything has been exhausted by the Cambodian side, so there's a small window here where Indonesia can make a winning play. This is 19 minutes in the game for the most part, especially the main carries. Everyone is on a full inventory slot. Hijime has a Winter Truncheon, so watch for that being used to maybe bait out some abilities. But for Opie, he has the Wind of Nature, so Psychots as well as Taz will have a more difficult time bursting him down. Brands included in that equation as well. It will be in the hands of Hijime to see if he can actually burst Opie through that Wind of Nature.
19 minutes in now. Next Lord is going to be the Evolved Lord, and you can see Cambodia already maneuvering around that place, knowing that they have more pressure on the map currently, even with the disadvantage in turrets. With the top side continuously just pushing in towards Cambodia, they've been able to actually micromanage it to a point where it's always at a good position, right? Again, they're leaving it in that top side, having one minion pushing in as well.
Well, Luto has the Cursed Helmet right now, but Taz has built a Blade of Despair. Brands has switched over to a has clause, as we mentioned, so he won't be easily or as easily bursted down in these fights. That is how the Irithel usually operates, but Cambodians are pressuring for the Lord. They might just commit to it.
Psychons is looking for that split push here. This is the moment right now as Boom jumps in with the Black Dragon form. Going to be taken very low as Dreams does the same thing. Psychons on the base already right now, looking for that split push, looking for the back door. Boom going to be taken down. That's the immortality popped in. Psychons still looking for the play as T is going to be losing his immortality as well. Boom taken very low. Taz looking for the Phantom Steed, gets the kill. T as well, falling 2-4-0. Psychons manages to distract the other members as well, and Cambodia with the Lord won't be able to do much. It's a 2-0 for Indonesia, and with all the waves in that top lane, the bottom lane, and even in the mid lane pushing into Cambodia, it feels like Cambodia are the ones now at a disadvantageous position.
You have to ask the question again, is it worth going for the Lord, trading it for the lives of your members? The longer the game goes, the longer these death timers will be for both these teams, and that must be something you need to calculate. If you take the Lord and lose 2, you might just be at a disadvantage. Indonesia is making Cambodia pay for that Lord take. They're going for the play.
The damage onto Opie with the real world inflation, forcing the flicker out. Lutu trying to cancel it out, but will lose his life in the process right now as everybody goes for the base, and it might just be it. Indonesia manages to come back, reverse sweeping Cambodia, and going to the grand finals of